Welcome to our channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. Today I have a new album review by the band Crowbar. This is their first album in 6 years. It's called Zero and Below. So in this video I will talk a little about the band Crowbar, then I'll go through the songs on the album. I'll give my final score at the end, and that will be it. So Crowbar plays a type of music called sludge metal. It's kind of a mixture of like doom metal and hardcore punk, resulting in songs that have these like slow and heavy riffs, lots of aggression and attitude. They have been around for a while now, so they started in New Orleans in 1988. They started to gain popularity after their self-titled album in 1993. It was produced by Phil Anselmo of Pantera. They started getting some airplay on MTV. They appeared on Beavis and Butthead in the 90s. And since then, they have been releasing albums. This is their first album in 6 years, called Zero and Below. So there are 10 songs. I'll just go through them real quickly. I'll talk about the sound and the vocals and everything else. So it starts off with The Fear That Binds You. Comes right out the gate. Kind of moves at a mid-pace. There are some chunky riffs that are heavily distorted. The vocals are deep and sludgy. Maybe a little like Phil Anselmo. But this band is a little more reminiscent of Down than they are of Pantera. There is a slow breakdown at the 3-minute mark, kind of goes into these like Black Sabbath style riffs. Next is Her Evil Is Sacred. This reminded me a little of Metallica's Dream No More with the heavy chords in the intro. But afterwards, let's go into some like chunky heavy riffs with some deep string bends. This band does this a lot with like these like distorted string bends to create those sounds. That's going to be very characteristic of this band. Song is a lot slower than the first song, has lots of like sustained power chords as well. After this is Confess to Nothing, another song with heavy riffs. Again, using those string bends, they create those slow, heavy sounds. The song is slow, it's plodding, it's doomy. It does have some cool palm muted power chords, and they do add like an extra level of heaviness. After that is Chemical Gods. There's a music video for this. And it's a little faster paced, has some heavy chunky riffs. It has a style similar to that of like stoner metal bands. They play like a sludgy metal style, but maybe like a little faster. I think this one reminded me a little of like the band Monster Magnet. That's what came to mind. But it's a heavy song, has some slow power chords and some heavy vocals. The song does have a few sections where it does slow down to a crawl with those heavy string bends. The riffs towards the end of the song do remind me a lot of that classic Black Sabbath. So if you do like that sound, this is a pretty cool song. After that is Denial of the Truth. This one has very slow and plodding guitar riffs. The song also stands out from the rest as the vocals are sung in a much cleaner style than the others. Has the first verse being sung with like the slow bass line and these like a tribal sounding drum beat, and the vocals then go into like a harsh style towards the chorus. After is Bleeding from Every Hole. This is another song that was released as a single with a music video. Short song, 3 minutes. It moves a lot faster than the others. So on this song, I think they're going for more of that hardcore sound as opposed to that sludge sound. It was a nice change of pace by following up a slow song with one of the faster paced ones. Song has some pretty cool palm muted riffs towards the end, giving it a very like heavy sound. Afterwards, It's Always Worth the Gain. This one has some stop-start riffs, kind of alternate between like the riffs and the drum fills. So it does move at a mid-pace, has very full sound. It does have the two guitars playing in harmony. I did think the outro to the song was cool. It did speed up a little, kind of gives like that extra like dose of heaviness. Afterwards, Crush Negativity, another fairly short song with kind of like the slow plodding riffs. Does speed up a little towards the end of the song, something that this band likes to do a lot with their songs. Remaining Alive. This one moves at a nice pace, not too slow, not too fast. Has some heavy palm muted riffs and some string bends. The song speeds up towards the middle of the song. It does have some tempo changes and does keep things interesting. The final song is the title track, Zero and Below. Also the longest song, 5 minutes, 36 seconds. So these songs aren't very long. The vocals in the first verse are a little cleaner than the usual vocal style. I guess this one reminded me a little of like Mastodon a little bit. I like the other songs. It does have those slow plodding riffs, but the song does have a breakdown with acoustic guitars and a melodic guitar solo, which You know, this album is lacking guitar solos. I think this is the type of band that doesn't really like, you know, do guitar solos. But this one does have a melodic solo, and the solo does continue towards the end of the song, and it goes into like this acoustic, almost like a classical kind of you know, passage played on acoustic guitars. And I thought that was pretty cool. So that song was one of the ones that did stand out on the album. So in conclusion, I thought it was a good album. It's the kind of band that they've been very consistent in releasing albums. You know what you're getting whenever they put out a new album. So I thought the songs were good. The songs did have some tempo changes between them, but it was good. It did make the songs like stand out from each other. So there were times that reminded me of like bands like Black Sabbath at times. Other times it reminded me of like Pantera, especially like those like slower Pantera songs. I'm thinking of like some songs from like the Great Southern Tranquil album. But my favorite songs were Chemical Gods, Bleeding from Every Hole, and Zero and Below. Most of the songs were enjoyable. I guess there were like some filler tracks, maybe Crush Negativity and Remaining Alive. Those were a little more forgettable, but otherwise, a good album for the genre that it is in. My score would be a 7.5 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you thought. So my next reviews will be the new Warrior Soul album and the new album by Midnight, which is something different for me because it's kind of like a black metal, but it's like a black and roll. But I'll review that. I will have anniversary reviews for the debut album by Foreigner and Thick as a Brick by Jethro Tull. So going to the classic rock. And that's it. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. Check out some of the other reviews. I'll stick them right there. And I'll see you all in the next one.